All right, good morning, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Wednesday, February 23rd, shortly after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Great to see Ray, Norman, Andrea, Leo, Patrick, Mark, Gary, all of us live inside Cyber Group. And hey, if you're joining us once again on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. So, folks, we do have a lot to talk about here today, albeit I will say the pre-market's been a little slow. Been a little lackluster so far. Here we have the STRN trade, at least, making a slow, gradual build up. This one ended up actually popping shortly after 8:30. Hey, we'll take it, right? How could we not? It's like more of like a level one or two stock. It seems like, pretty inexpensive. But aside from saying that, it's got a really, liquid order book, and that's exactly what makes it more of a level one trade. So we're going to be talking about, all about that coming up this morning in the phase two course later on this morning, right at 10:30 Eastern time for Ray and Kathleen, Kevin, Henry, Leda, Michael, all of us otherwise. The news out on STRN that led to this pop really quick, and she says STRN Strand and Company announces up to a $10 million buyback. All right. Well, hey, at least there's a headline. So we'll start off by putting this on our morning watch list. But more than that, though, I do want to at least show level four. We'll show Bookmap briefly for this trade. I do want to jump right back to the INDO, though. INDO, a stock that we had on our morning watch list yesterday, a stock that we have on our pre-market watch list once again this morning. So that's making another big move. But STRN here, well, it looks like we ended up seeing an iceberg order get filled at 178. This orange line denotes an iceberg order that was placed out there on the ask. But here's the thing, though. I mean, I know this, it's only a couple of pennies off, but you basically had 100,000 shares filled before that at 176. So, in my opinion, so long as we continue to see more buying off of the 176, I'm led to believe that this can make another run. Does that mean it's going to be right now? No. Does that mean it's going to be at all? I mean, I hope so, but not guaranteed. So at least just mark that 176 level. If you'd like to also mark the 78 price, just wait for a little extra confirmation. That doesn't hurt for a level one trade, right? It's not like this thing is making a 25, 30-cent pop on a, minute bar, kind of like the INDO can. So, this one's a little bit more volatile. The INDO from yesterday ended up making a beautiful pop and run after the market opened up. We did talk about this trade all throughout our Traders Talk workshop for all of us on social media, YouTube and Facebook here today. We actually did that live for you folks on YouTube yesterday. We typically do that 2 or 3 times across the whole year on social media. That's a workshop we do weekly inside our live trading room. So, hey, that's on our YouTube channel right now, probably our second to latest recorded video on our YouTube channel there, youtube.com/cybertradingyou. INDO, though, right now, obviously making a nice healthy push back up. We ended up seeing some selling on this trade off of 740 a bit earlier in pre-market. What I mean by that is seeing an iceberg order getting, hit on the bid. So with that, we need to make sure that this stock holds at least above 740, and from there to see it make another nice pop afterwards. So, I'll show Bookmap one more time, and just for this trade here, this is the iceberg that we saw get filled off of 740. It's not the biggest, order out there. It seems to be just around 8,000 shares, 7 or 8,000 shares there. But, hey, you don't want to have history repeat itself. So in this case, we got to make sure this slings right over the 740 and really runs off it. The more selling that we have at 740 and with it making lower highs, then we know what direction it's going to go in from that point. So the sooner the better on this type of trade here for the INDO. But definitely, we'll put this back on our watch list, right, alongside the STRN. All right, gonna need some extra coffee in me today. Folks, let's go right from top to bottom, though, because we have a bunch of other stocks, at least that we could try and scan for, look through. Number one here is the 10 trade. I'll be honest, I'm going to skip over it right now. And if you can click on it yourself, you could tell why I'm going to skip over it here in just a second, right? But we did talk about that yesterday on a couple of other stocks, right? There we go. Leda says buyout. Exactly. Buyouts do not move. Don't try and challenge that. I'm not telling you that you personally can't make, a couple pennies on it, but I don't want it to be a giant waste of your time. Right, that's what I care more about here. The IMPP, I saw Norman coming back here. He picked up about 8 or 10 cents on this trade just a moment ago. Got in from 104, so he ended up getting out seemingly. I think he got out at 12, so 8 cents on the trade. Hey, great exit. Ended up just topping off right around there. Ended up pulling back. So hey, IMPP, at least it's one that we're pretty familiar with now from yesterday's trading. This ended up making a big pop from like 65 up to near $1, and then from there kind of backed off. But yeah, right now trying to move up higher here. So again, the IMPP, it's like hard for us to not put this on our watch list at least. All right, there we go. Actually, really quick, I appreciate Rich doing that on our YouTube channel right now, YouTube stream rather. If you check the comments section right there, he ended up just posting the link for that video right there. If you just, if you're on the recording already of this video, just go right to our YouTube channel. You'll see our latest Traders Talk workshop video. All right. So we have the IMPP, the REF, the REVB trade, REVB, I was going to say. Stock just has been so lackluster so far, especially since 7:30 in the morning. At least it ended up making a really nice squeeze from the after hours yesterday. Gapped up, you could say, a little bit higher in pre-market this morning. But since it's just been really flat. I don't know what led to this drop. I didn't see it pop up on Benzinga. I'm going to double check right now just because I got a little time. Just curious to know. But, when you see this type of stock make as big of a move as it made, and then, it doesn't mean it's not exactly the same day, but, sometimes it could be the day after a big run up. When you see a big drop like that, a lot of times it could be like a direct or common stock offering of shares. So I'm a little curious. Just going to check. REVB increased. There's no news on it, even that led to the run up, which is pretty odd. There's nothing here that Benzinga has here. Oh, actually, well, hold on. There is something. It looks like Roth Capital for REVB initiated coverage on the stock with a buy rating and a $12 price target. All right. Well, that's enough of a headline that led to this squeeze to begin with. As far as the drop here at 7 o'clock, I don't know. I was just curious. But either way, it's been really flat since. So that's something that's actually detracting me from this type of trade. I'm not as interested in trading this type of stock comparative to, the STRN or INDO or, the IMPP even. Um, that said, though, it's going to be hard to not put this on our list. So I'll put this kind of towards the middle, maybe even near the bottom of our watch list. It does have great range given from the after hours into right now, just, from low to high, back down. So we can only hope to see another, type of run back up after the open. And if so, then God bless, we'll take it, right? On my other chart here, on my other screen, I already ended up marking out this chart here. So I'm at least prepared to go on this trade. The REVB. You could say the same on a couple of the others here. OSTK. Now, this OSTK trade is making a pretty familiar type of move for this, stock, overstock. We ended up seeing this, and this had to have been like at this point now, like a year and a half, probably 2 years back at this point. This stock ended up making one of the biggest squeezes that we've ever seen, not just saying percentage wise, but in the sense of just day over day over day. We've seen stocks like BTU make great swing trades, and this just comes to mind. And the more this ran up, the thinner the order book got. So hey, maybe history could repeat itself just on a fractional level here. If this overstock trade could make a fraction of that type of squeeze that we had back a year and a half 2 years ago, God bless. And it's starting to, make a solid run right now. I would just be really careful though. I even called this out in pre-market and I said, hey, has really thin volume. I would really rather you folks wait for this to fill in a lot more, wait for the order book to fill in a lot more. It doesn't mean that you can't begin to prep it though, right? That's why I called it out. At least give it a look. And, if it's one that you feel that you'll be more likely to follow after 9:30, then start prepping. Look for the iceberg orders early on this trade. They might not be so common on the order book right now, but I would assume 45 to be a big level, 50 to be a big level ahead here. The more this squeezes up. All right, so we'll keep it going. Overstock we'll put on our watch list here. The STRN we already talked about. This one looks pretty good. And then we have a cheapie and MULN. Not as big of a fan of the cheapies as much. REGI, $40. Just very spotty chart. Moved up nicely, I guess, in pre-market. Whatever the news is on it. I'm just gonna see if there's anything else looking better. The QNGY, geez, talk about looking better. I don't know if this is better or what, but this daily chart is just out of whack. I mean, I guess it's good because it provides great volatility for us. Stock ended up dropping off from late Jan from like 10 to 650 or $6. Ended up breaking much lower after that. At the end of last week, had a big squeeze up, big drop back down. Hey, it's up 16% this morning, trading 332,000 shares. I wish the intraday chart looked better. This doesn't really look like the best intraday chart, but for right now, at least, I'll slip this on the watch list, the QNGY. The HIMS trade HIMS. I saw this early in pre-market. I opted not to put this on the pre-market watch list. Thankful I didn't because it's just only been like spotty since. Not a whole lot happening there on the chart. Same with CLEU. The INDO trade, going back to this, unfortunately, it's back under that 740. So I would be really careful at this point, folks. I was saying the sooner the better on this type of trade. Not only did it break back under 740, but just held it as resistance. Be really careful on this trade now. I mean, obviously, we're going to keep it on our morning watch list, but as far as the drop off prior to the open, look out. ANGH, former runner, not trading a whole lot of volume here so far in pre. We have NU, which is just kind of range bound right now. This could be on our side list. We've seen the stock make a run or two over the last couple of weeks, right? The TISI, this thing's just been a bust. Going into the pre-market or going into 8 o'clock, it was moving up quite nicely. Just has done nothing since. So I'm going to pass on it right now. If it pops after the open, then we'll try and react from there. All right, I've been waiting for this. Let's hop on over to the losers list, folks. We'll get the news out once more for the KOD trade. This is Kodiak Sciences, not KODK, KOD. So Kodiak Sciences trading lower after the company reported top-line results from the phase 2B/3 study of KSI 301, blah, 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 blah. Study did not meet the primary endpoint. You know what KOD stands for, folks? Anybody know what KOD stands for? Wonder if there's any Godfather 2 fans here. Little Michael Corleone. And Kiss of Death. The Kiss of Death. This thing got whacked. There was a hit put out on this trade here this morning, it seems like. Geez. Now, keep in mind, I've had that off the tip of my tongue since 7:45 Eastern time. I've been waiting to make that joke. That's as creative as you'll get from me. So for the next 6 hours, at least for all of us live inside the Cyber Group room, you're going to have to deal with my corny jokes going forward. So I appreciate you being patient with that. But nonetheless, KOD getting hit with the Kiss of Death here today. It's shortable. The stock is shortable. And that's the crazy enough part about this. It's down 78%, enough certainly to anticipate for a dead cat bounce. Hey, maybe this stock does make, a short temporary recovery to where it could squeeze up to maybe 15. It's down enough. Why not? Why can't we expect that? But if that happens, and then should this begin to, die off again, and I say that in the sense of the volume more than anything, I wrote that in the trading room chat board. Hey, if the volume begins to wane back down, and you know what direction this thing is going to come and going again. So this could be a really good short. Then it could also be a great long, depending on what happens within the first 3 to 5 minutes of the market opening up. That's why we need to wait really to kind of just see the true reaction coming up, and then for us to react from that point. So hey, respect the trend, follow the trend on the way down. Right now, at least, I would anticipate the next major level of support on the bid to be off of 10. All right, so KOD definitely going to put on our watch list here, the Kiss of Death. All right, so nonetheless, let's keep it going. I'm a Godfather 1 fan more than Godfather 2, but nonetheless, we keep going. VRT really flat. This thing was down as much as KOD at one point, but not a whole lot happening now. RXT, this one looks pretty good as a short. Right within our price range, trading 173K this morning pre-market, and a lot more from after hours yesterday. A little spotty on the intraday chart, but shortable, and at least trend to work with from the after hours. So why not, right? RXT, cool. OCGN, top percent gainer yesterday. Now a top percent loser this morning. This is why we don't look to turn a day trade into a swing trade, folks. Can't buy the news. FDA, I think, released the hold on their COVID-19 vaccine trial. So you'd think that could lead to a really nice squeeze up on this type of trade. I don't know if there was any follow-up news afterwards. It seems like this thing just had a giant drop from the after hours yesterday. But otherwise, though, I mean, geez, you weren't expecting this morning necessarily. All right, we keep it going. VIPs, this one was down enough in pre-market. It was trending down at least early. It's been pretty flat since. So, that's the gripe I have on it, but we're more familiar with this stock. The stock trades like 7.5 million shares on average every day, or, on average at least. So, it's to say today we'll definitely be trading a lot more than that, in my opinion. It is shortable. So, a little flat right now, but I'm sure after the open, we'll try and catch a move on this VIPs trade. All right, and that just about wraps it up on the loser side, folks. Not really as much down that 5% or more. So, hey, if there's anything else that looks good, type it in the chat board. Type it in the YouTube stream. Let me know. Wendy has DraftKings, which I was going to get to on my own end here. I saw it just pop up on Benzinga Pro. So, yeah, this thing's making a nice move here. Yeah, making a good push. So, just going to check to see if there's any news. We're going to put this on our list regardless. We have a headline out from 7:14 Eastern time, so that's not the cause of this pop per se. But at 7:14 Eastern, Citigroup maintained buy rating on DraftKings, but they ended up lowering their price target to 35. I mean, it's at 1950 now, so that's still pretty far away. Yeah, I mean, DraftKings obviously looking really strong for right now, so we'll put this back on our watch list here. This is also a stock I ended up taking the sweet time to chart and prep and line up. So I'm good to go on DraftKings. I'm good to go on the Kiss of Death. I'm good to go. I'm good to go on the INDO at least otherwise. All right, folks. So I think that just about wraps it up. I don't see anything on YouTube or Facebook Live here otherwise. And then Wendy and Brian just called out DraftKings, which looks great. So that's all I got. I think we're good to go, folks. If there is anything else, then hey, we'll look to call it out once the market does open. We don't need to have a big watch list. I feel like we have a really good list to begin with, and it's also relatively big for what it's worth. So try and be very selective at the open, folks. Try and pick a couple out of these, maybe a few at most, and really focus on those, upon the first 3 to 5 minutes. Because at least the less we could focus on, then the better ability that we could have to try and jump in one of these trades. Right? If we're focused on 8 stocks at the same time, it's going to be pretty difficult to focus on the finer, more important details of each of those in order to take the trade. All right, folks. So just keep that in mind. Chuck Z here in the chat board says DraftKings, Matt McCall is recommending. Oh, okay. So I guess there's a little update on that. I guess Matt McCall. All right. Cool. Folks, for all of us on YouTube or Facebook Live, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, and at least for this week, each and every morning. I'm tagging in for Fausto. He's in Florida right now on business. So if you have any questions, feel more than free to send on an email over to josh@ctutrading.com. That's my email. I had a couple already sent over from the end of yesterday, which I need to get back to at some point this morning. I'm sure after the smoke and dust clears from the market open, I'll have more time to do that. So at least for all of us inside the live trading room, Grant, Leda, Michael, Kathleen, Mark, Chuck, Brian, Wendy, Patrick, Dylan. Hey, folks, I look forward to talking to you all soon coming up right at the opening bell. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it.